I stop you for a second, though, Bob, and that is, can a tractor-trailer truck, we know that buses and cars can work well in natural gas. Can a tractor-trailer truck, such as your old trucks from Daily Express that you used to direct, can they operate on natural gas?
For sure, I don't know the answer to that. This is the shale was discovered with new technology. For years and years, you dug gas wells with vertical wells. And then someone figured out how to do a horizontal well off a vertical well, God bless them, and they found all this stuff in the shale. And that's technology. Major trucking companies today, I understand, are experimenting with diesel-powered engines fired by natural gas.
Okay.
Whether that works, time will tell. If it doesn't work, maybe they'll keep on working until they work it out. It seems like the automobile side of the traffic is going towards batteries, one way or another. Fuel cells or batteries, probably batteries. But it seems also that there's a possibility that, and this is way down the road, this isn't tomorrow, we're talking 10 years from now, that trucks may end up using as a power source natural gas, which is wonderful because we get the Arabs out of the equation. We're paying money to ourselves. We keep the balance of payments is under control. It's the biggest economic stimulus that Pennsylvania has ever seen, and it's a clean burning fuel. So handled carefully, this new technology may be an absolutely wonderful thing to happen for all of us as far as transportation, as far as additional energy, electricity. We'll just have to wait and see where it takes us, but it's a very big thing, and it's relatively new, and it's a great thing for our state.
So, in your opinion, we should go by the fact of collecting it where you buy it to use it on the roads and use a user fee. Are there other new technologies that are coming along that we should look to, rather than the other model we had was having a turnpike, who now people don't drive on, they avoid it, doing that, and go into other areas that maybe not as safe, to have it there. What are your ideas on that?
Well, we had an experience in Pennsylvania with the sale of the privatization of the turnpike. We could talk about that for a few minutes. I worked on that quite a bit in my old capacity when I was in the trucking business, and it seemed to me the only logical buyer for any of the turnpikes around, whether it's the Tulsa Turnpike, was the Ohio Turnpike, the only logical buyer for any of these turnpikes was the federal government. Not because they have a lot of money, but because they are charged with constructing the interstate highway system. Any acquisition that you do has to have built into it some synergies. If you have a roofing company, maybe you should look at buying a solar panel company. If you have a car manufacturing company, maybe you should be looking at a brake company. All of these are natural synergies for the end product of the manufacturer. The only synergy I've been able to find with the purchase or sale of a road is another owner of a road. And what it would do for the federal government, if they were to control all of the turnpikes, not just our turnpike, it would enable the federal government to save a pile of money on not having to build or widen the existing interstate system, because they could incorporate the turnpike roads into our interstate system, move some traffic that's now avoiding tolls by using the interstate system, move that traffic onto the turnpikes, and they wouldn't necessarily have to widen all of these interstate highways. So I would say that on the turnpike issue, it would enable us to eliminate the Turnpike Management Authority, which has been criticized time and time again for being inefficient, politically oriented, and not really interested in running a business, i.e. a toll road, but more interested in gaining the votes of the Pennsylvania legislature. So I'd say if you had a logical buyer for the toll systems that are around America, it would be the federal government, and it's something to think about. It's not the answer to all our traffic problems, but to let the Chinese come in here and buy up these turnpikes because they have all the dollar reserves, that obviously that's a problem for everybody. But the federal government has an advantage the Chinese don't have. they can move that traffic off the interstates onto the turnpikes and reduce their future expenditures to widen and maintain the interstate highway system. So that's a thought.
Well, this is a new idea that I have never heard advanced anywhere before, Jerry, and I think we want to come back on that note. Let's take a break here, and we'll be back in just a moment with the second segment of Behind the Headlines and Bob Long.
Behind the Headlines is sponsored in part by Connections Academy.
Every kid thinks differently, acts differently, learns differently. Just because traditional school works for most students doesn't mean it works for everyone. Connections Academy is a free online public school from grades K through 12 that specializes in helping kids excel by allowing them to learn their way, their schedule, their pace, their environment. And Connections Academy is fully accredited. Enroll now and your kids can start reaping the benefits of Connections Academy this year.
Behind the Headlines is brought to you as a public service by PAConstructionJobs.com, where you can look for job openings, post a resume, or learn more about a rewarding career in Pennsylvania's highway construction industry. And by the Pennsylvania Business Council, envisioning a commonwealth in which residents enjoy a very high quality of life in sustainable communities. The Council works aggressively to define key long-term policy strategies and solutions that make the Commonwealth more competitive, creating and sustaining a better Pennsylvania. Additional underwriting provided by the Worrell Corporation Foundation, based in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. By Weber Incorporated, a leading manufacturer of hardwood lumber and wood products. The Highway Equipment and Supply Company, Central and Northeast Pennsylvania's authorized distributor for premier construction equipment manufacturers. And the American Home Bank, a nationally chartered and FDIC insured yet locally owned and operated bank in central Pennsylvania. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business. Behind the Headlines is also supported as a public service by Daily Express, transporting construction, farm, and industrial equipment throughout the United States.
Welcome back to the second segment of Behind the Headlines. And on this show, Jere Strittmatter is joining me and replacing Maura Donnelly as the fact that she's on vacation. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
And we're lucky enough to have Bob Long with us, the former CEO of Daily Express from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and now the CEO of Daily Underwriting of America. Could you just tell us for a second what Daily Underwriting is, Bob?
Sure, it's an insurance company licensed in 8 states, including Pennsylvania, up and down the East Coast, basically. We sell insurance, or we're an underwriter, basically. We issue policies to mostly single and small truck owners for all sorts of truck insurance, whether it's comprehensive, property damage, and most importantly, liability.
So you have credentials in transportation which are hard to match. When we went out, we were talking about the possibility you threw out the whole notion, which I had never heard before, and I thought it was very interesting, having the federal government buy the turnpike systems around the country and incorporate those with the interstate systems. And of course, this goes back to this whole notion that you had developed, that you mentioned earlier, about perhaps we should look to the fuel taxes as the way to subsidize the maintenance of roads and the building of further roads and bridges as our infrastructure ages. I guess, we traditionally hear the problem with relying on fuel taxes is that our cars are getting more efficient, so they use less fuel, that people are driving less because of the price of gasoline. As it goes up, it does seem to have an effect on that. People are using mass transit a little bit more. So how do those factors affect your solution, Bob, in terms of relying on fuel tax? Are we looking in the right direction?
I think it makes sense. I think for the country to have a policy of expensive fuel automatically brings with it the concept of the need for conservation, either driving fewer miles, not driving at all, or just going ahead and converting to these hybrid vehicles. And down the road, 5-10 years, there'll be additional hybrid vehicles which are probably battery powered or fuel cell powered.